Okay, great. Well, let's get started. Just start by saying, so we do record these sessions and we make them available to members afterwards. We post them on our YouTube channel, and Autumn's also agreed to share the slides with us as well. So let's get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrew Lucking. I'm the Director of Member Relations for the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar. I'd like to start by acknowledging that the City of Thunder Bay has been built on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, peoples of Fort William First Nation, and their original signatories to the Robinson Superior Treaty of 1850. Certainly, we recognize the significant contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people to our heritage, social, cultural, spiritual, as well as economic wealth. The Chamber is committed to a relationship with Indigenous peoples and that is grounded on the principles of mutual trust, respect, reciprocity, and collaboration in the spirit of reconciliation. I'm pleased to announce today's presenter, Autumn Wilson. Autumn is a social media strategist and agency owner who has supported over 25 international brands with their digital presence and growth. With a decade of experience in marketing and a background in communications, she specialized in simplifying complex strategies into clear, doable systems. Her signature approach helps small business owners market more effectively without the overwhelm. Inside her membership, the Simply Social Media Society, she teaches and empowers entrepreneurs who hate social media to build strategic foundations. They create content that converts and manage their marketing with systems that actually fit their life. And I'll turn it over to Autumn and let her take the wheel.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here, and a special thank you to the Chamber for having me. Little fun fact, Charlotte and I go way back. I actually used to manage a Chamber of Commerce back where I used to live eons ago. And so Charlotte and I were always in the same spaces and at conferences together. And the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce was always the one that the rest of us like envied and always wanted to like shoot after to be like, okay, what's the Thunder Bay Chamber doing? Let's do that because it works. So I'm just happy to be here, happy to be a member, and excited to be a part of this and with all of you here today to share some insider tips and tricks and information for you to help you get more focused on social media. So my goal for today is to give you the roadmap to a simple year on social media, right? We can all agree that social media marketing can get super complicated and overwhelming, and a lot has changed, even just in the last year, let alone the last like 5 or 6 years. The pandemic that shall not be named did a huge kind of number on marketing and social media and how we all communicate, that everything just kind of got turned on its head. And we're now seeing the dust settle, but we're seeing a lot of really interesting shifts and new ways forward in marketing. And the challenge is that a lot of the social media advice that's out there isn't really built for businesses. You know, we see a lot of it that's like just post more, or use this trending audio, or something that's maybe a bit more like influencery. And it kind of gives you just like a small piece or a small taste, but it doesn't give you the whole picture. So today I'm drilling down into what's important on social media in 2026 right now, what you can focus on and what you can forget so that you are not spending your time spinning your reels on things that don't work and you're focused on things that are nice and strategic to move you forward. And we will save time for Q&A at the end. So I'll be able to answer some more of your questions, because one of the things about social media is it is kind of nuanced. So I'm going to be giving you kind of like high level overview of things in social media right now. And then hoping to give you kind of those starting points. But if there's some more kind of nuanced or things or questions that you have, then we can always go through those at the end. So Andrew introduced me, so I don't need to go through all of the details here, but what you do need to know me is that I am super relentless about finding the simple ways to do things, because I believe life is too short to be spending all of our time on social media. And even though I am a social media strategist, I would much rather be spending my time outside. So it's been important to me in my business to keep things super simple and straightforward, not wasting time on things that don't work, and really focusing on those strategies that are going to help kind of move the needle forward. And that's a lot what I help with my brands as well. So that's my approach to social media strategies for myself and for my clients. They are robust and they're anchored deep in data, but the actual execution of them is meant to be quite simple. And so I create and manage social media channels for businesses every day, and I'm learning from top marketing minds in the world. So what you're going to get today is all backed by real data, either my own experience with my clients or from marketing reports from around the world. So you know that you're not just getting kind of fluff and like feel good things, you're getting the real data. So I'm going to start with providing some general updates that affect kind of all marketing in general. And then I'm going to get into some of the more platform specific things that I'll share as well. So before we dive in too deep, just so you know what you've signed up for and maybe why what we're going to cover today is a little bit different than what you might have heard from other marketers out there. I am not helping you go viral. That's not what this is about. That's just a way to kind of be a flash in the pan, and it's not very strategic. I'm here to help you build something that's sustainable. I do not believe in teaching things part way, but empowering you with the tools and the knowledge so you can understand how things work. Because if you don't know why something works, you're always going to feel stuck and kind of come up against those same blocks every time. So that's why you're not going to hear me talk about things like mastering trends or going viral or just post more or be everywhere. It's more about the longer term, more sustainable strategies that will really help move the needle forward. So that's where today's topic comes in. The long-term strategic things you can do that will help you reach the right people who are ready to buy. And like I said, all backed by real data, so you know that you're getting all of the good stuff. And I don't gatekeep in any of my webinars. I pack lots of great stuff into here, which is probably why I talk faster than a lot of people, because I want to give you a lot of really good stuff that you can walk away with. So first up, I want to kind of address something that we need to shift first in order to understand where all these changes are coming from and how we approach marketing now. So we're all used to saying B2B or B2C, right? Business to business, business to consumer, and that's kind of how we classify our business or our marketing. But that is no longer the way to approach your marketing or even your sales, I would argue, but we're going to stay with social media for now. It's about human to human. So no matter what your business is, and I know we have a good variety of businesses in the room here today, no matter what your business is, what service you offer, what product you offer, you are talking to a human on the other side of that screen, on the other side of that email or social media post. So it's really important to keep that in mind, that there is that human to human connection that we need to have centered in our marketing strategy. That's going to help all of this come together a lot more, and you'll see why it all makes sense as we go through. So these are the overall marketing changes I'm going to be touching on, again, just really quickly and briefly for each of them. But basically the role of social media and how it's changed, how the platforms are more saturated than ever, but that might not necessarily be a bad thing. Authenticity is this buzzword we keep hearing right now, but what does that actually mean? I'm going to talk about a little bit about this return to slow social, which I love and I'm totally here for. What audience knowledge is required in order to be successful, and then how AI is impacting the way we use social media as well. So we have a short period of time together here. We only have time to kind of scratch the surface on each of these things, but I want to give you that kind of starting point and the information you need to go forward to inform your social media strategy as you move forward. So social media is playing a bigger role in business as a key marketing source, right? But for specific and strategic reasons. So we're seeing now it's not just a place where you can like share cool photos or share fancy things or share your trip to France. It's not just about doing social media for the sake of it, but it's about doing it with strategy and purpose, right? So there are ways that you can use social media now as a way to move your potential clients or customers along the buying journey to make them closer to be ready to buy from you. And we know now that social media plays this big role, and it also plays a role in helping people find you through other things like Google or AI as well, right? But it's not about being everywhere. It's about being on the platforms that matter the most and will get you the most results. So you can forget being everywhere just for the sake of it. I don't want you to think you need to be on every single social media platform, not required. Instead, focus on posting with purpose and creating a strategy so that every single post you put out has a purpose and is moving people along your funnel or moving them through that buying journey or helping people learn a little bit more about you. So it's really about getting strategic here, and that's what's going to get you the best bang for your buck. So You've probably noticed and heard from everyone that social media platforms are more saturated than ever, and there feels like there's new ones coming out all the time, which is like, we don't need another social media platform. A lot of people might think that this saturation is a bad thing, but I don't necessarily agree because it forces us to be more intentional and to get better at speaking directly to our target audience so that no matter how saturated the platform becomes, we're speaking to our people. So you don't need to stand out to everyone. You only need to stand out to the right people. So it doesn't matter. There can be, millions and millions of people all over social media. You only need to focus on your little corner of the internet that directly speaks to your ideal client. So you don't have to focus on competing with huge brands or other brands that do the same thing as you do and fighting against the noise. It's focusing on the strategic messaging that just breaks through for your specific fine-tuned audience, right? So we don't need to compete with everyone. And I'll go into this a little bit more as well when we talk about audience. So you can forget trying to compete with every other brand that's on social media. That's not what it's about. Instead, focusing on resonating with your specific small audience, right? So you don't need to compete with all of the big brands that are all over social media. You only need to focus on really diving into and resonating with your audience. So performance, there's just a couple things I didn't really know kind of how to kind of classify them. So I just called it kind of performance in terms of, different things and how they perform on social media, the way things used to be to where they are now. Really simply, don't put links in your posts anymore. You've never been able to put them in captions on Instagram anyway. But now we know Facebook has come out to say, and they're actually starting to limit it for certain people, that you can only put so many links in your posts. You can only put a link in your post so many times in a month. Facebook's starting to limit that. So now the platforms are starting to actually come out and publicly acknowledge that, yes, we do limit the reach of posts that have links in them. This is because they don't want people to leave the platform, of course, right? They want everyone to stay on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, right? They want them all to stay there. So this is something that we can just kind of forget about. There's other more strategic ways that you can get people to go to your website. There's links in bios or in your profile. You can put links and comments on Facebook and LinkedIn. And X or Twitter is the most recent one that has come out to say that they penalize tweets that have links in them. So don't put links in your captions. Instagram will be the only one that's not against the grain because you still can't put links in their captions, but they're starting to test out being able to put a link like on a reel, for example. So that's still kind of being tested. I don't see it really sticking around for long, but it's something that you can kind of test out as well. What to focus on is video. And I know this is probably going to come as like bad news for some people, but video is more king than it ever has been before. And I've been saying this for years, and it's even more true now. So video is the best performing type of content pretty much across all social media platforms. I'm not saying that's like a hard, fast rule, but it's usually true. I don't really see a lot of other examples where other types of content will perform better. Usually video is the best. It wins out for growth, for brand awareness. The only exception might be LinkedIn, but even LinkedIn is trying to start pushing people towards like a video feed. So we're seeing that transition start to happen. So it really is the best format for getting discovered by your target audience and building trust. It's how you can get the most reach. It's how you can reach new people on your social media platforms and really kind of build that relatability and trust, like I said. So if you're not doing video for your brand, then it's definitely something you need to think about. And I'm not talking about this like high production value type of videos, just like nice, raw, authentic stuff, which I will talk about in a minute as well. So authenticity has become this kind of buzzword in marketing. So it's kind of easy to think it's just like a box that you check. It's like, oh, are we being true to ourselves? But it's not really always that simple. So what's changed now is how popular AI has become, right? So everyone is using AI now to write their captions for them, and people don't like that. So our audiences actually don't like AI generated content. So audiences are starting to crave that real and raw looking content. So far, to the extent that I've seen brands actually purposely put spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes in their content to prove that a human wrote it. That's the extremes that people are going because it's so important that audiences understand that there is an authentic person behind the brand, that there were real people, again, going back to that human to human, right? There's a person on the other end of it. People are more likely to relate to that than they are just this kind of like generic brand. And AI is powerful and I use it. I'm not saying don't use it, but there's very specific things to use it for. And as all of the good things that AI can do, it has no heart and no personality. So it's really important to make sure that you're kind of pulling that in strategically to your content. So that means like using stock photos or these high production value, perfectly polished videos does not matter anymore, right? So perfectly branded photo shoots won't perform well as the kind of like real style photo that you grab in your office or on the floor or wherever you are in your business. So that means you don't have to spend hours and hours on perfectly planned videos that look great and have perfect lighting and all that sort of stuff. You don't have to spend hours perfecting a trend or a video just to see it flop because the raw behind the scenes works better anyway. So perfection does not always connect with people, but authenticity always will. So you can forget those kind of professional shot photos and video. You don't need to invest a bunch of time or money into those things. Instead, you can focus on photos and videos that are laid back, more raw and unpolished. I'm not saying they can be low quality and like crappy videos, but they don't need to be this like high production value that I know a lot of brands think they have to spend sometimes tens of thousands of dollars on, right? But something simple like sharing behind the scenes of what's going on in the business invites your audience along on the journey. So it makes them feel like they are a part of the team, they're a part of what's going on, they're part of the story. And that's what brings people in and creates loyal followers, which turns into loyal customers, right? Everyone loves getting a peek behind the curtain. It's like this weird psychological thing we all want. So giving that to them just kind of brings them in closer and makes them, you know, really bond with your brand. So this concept of slow social, which I love, it's really about brands seeing more success with posting less instead of more. And again, this isn't a hard, fast rule for everybody. It's something to kind of test out. But this is an indication that there's a transition back to a kind of what we call like slow social. So it's not about quick, snappy, trending content. If you'll notice, there was a lot of that kind of years back where it's just like quick 5-second videos. It's not about that anymore. That's not resonating as well as it used to. It's more about, again, authenticity and purposeful connection with audiences. So we're thinking more longer videos or blog posts or more like well thought out content that's not just like, oh, we need to put a post out today, so let's just do this, right? People are craving a human pace and authentically centered content. So that's what we can give them. So you can forget trends and short, snappy content just to get likes and instead focus on content that resonates. So thinking thoughtfully about your posts. How can this make their day better? How can I make them laugh? How can I make them think? How can I make them emotionally feel the experience that we can give them when they buy our product, our service, or when they work with us, right? Now, this doesn't mean you can only post once in a blue moon. That's what I'm saying. But you don't have to stress about posting every single day. The key here is consistency over frequency. So you don't have to worry about how much you're posting. Instead, just focus on being consistent over a long period of time. And this will help you in a lot of different ways across your entire marketing ecosystem. So it's going to help with your search results as well, because the internet, the algorithm, the powers that be now are seeing you are more consistent, right? So you've got more kind of touch points and more data going into the system that tells what you do, who you are, and how you're resonating with people. That could mean 1 post a week. It could mean 4 posts a week or 7, depending on your brand. But you can worry less about, I have to post every single day. And then you do that for a month and then you stop posting for 6 months. That does not work, right? That's just you're basically starting from scratch every single time. So just focusing on that consistency and creating that content that really resonates with people. And so you'll notice that a very like through line through all of this is how well you know your target audience, right? And this is the key. And I have seen this work time and time again, and I don't know how many times I can explain it to clients, but if people come to me and they don't know who their target audience is, that's usually the first thing that I work with them on before we even start posting on social media. This has always been true, but more and more brands are actually starting to see the real truth and the impact of this because there's so much more content out there and there's more competition, right? So standing out is very hard to do if you're too general with your messaging. And I literally just had a sales or a coaching call with someone right before this about this exact thing. If you say like, oh, our target audience is so broad, so we need to make sure we're speaking to everybody. By doing that, you speak to no one because the person on the other side of that is going to see it and they won't know that it's for them, right? And I'm sure you've had that experience where you see something on social media or even in an email or a blog post or on a website that you're like, I don't know, this doesn't really call me out. Like this doesn't really sound like it's for me, or you're not sure if it's for you. And that makes you less likely to buy. But if there's something that is so specific, so I'll give you the example, this coaching call I had right before this was a sunglasses brand. And she was saying how she could really sell to people in their 20s and their 30s and their 40s and their 50s. I said, okay, you need to narrow it in because if you say something like, oh, our sunglasses are going to make you feel more confident. Okay, that's could speak to some people, but not really. But if you have a message that says, to the mom who's got peanut butter and jelly stains on her t-shirt, these sunglasses will make you feel like a boss the second you walk out the door. Now you're talking to someone so specific, and that person on the other end is like, oh, that's me. I have peanut butter on my shirt right now, right? So there's a whole different experience that happens on the other end when we're more specific and we know our audience really well. So understanding like that peanut butter and jelly experience, it's like, you know that person is probably, they've got those stains on their shirts right now, right? So you know what they're experiencing, what inspires them, what makes them laugh, right? And it's about these inviting people in. It's not just a sales pitch. It's about kind of creating this almost community of people who all kind of get it, right? And again, it doesn't matter even if you're a service-based business. I do the same thing because you're more speaking to the experience or the challenge that that person is going through around the service that you offer. So that's what kind of calls them in, right? So forgetting content that tries to speak to everyone and focusing on your unique style, your voice, your perspective. And a great way I try to get people to think about this is, as important as it is to call people in with your content, you also need to repel people. So there should be people out there who see what you post and think, God, no, that's not for me. That's when you know you're doing it right, because there needs to be this very kind of like fine line and great direction so that people know when they're called in and know when it is directly for them, right? So this is the key really to all of it. And I've done training sessions or webinars on this one topic only because it's so big and so important. And then lastly, in terms of like overall changes, using AI, of course, I touched on it a little bit, is everywhere, right? Everyone's using it now and it's fine. It's great. I use AI. It's not about whether or not you use it. It's about how you use it, okay? It's not about using it the most or using it for everything, but using it the smart way. So brands that are using AI to just write a caption for them and they copy and paste it and publish it, not going to work. That loses your audience. Again, there's no heart to that. There's no feeling to that. There's no personality to it, right? People who are winning are the ones that combine AI with your original thinking, your personal insights, your human voice. So what I like to encourage people to do is start whatever kind of marketing content you're working on, whether it's a social media post, an email, a blog post, website copy, whatever it is, write it in your own voice first, then go to AI and ask it to polish in terms of putting in keywords or tightening it up or making it more streamlined or more direct or straightforward or anything like that, but never have it change your voice, right? It always needs to be your voice at the end of the day. So I want you to forget copy and pasting general content from AI. It's not working for you anyway, so why waste your time on it? Instead, use AI to support your original thinking, right? So I like to think of AI as your brainstorming partner, not your content writer. Okay, it's not a copywriter, right? It's a brainstorming partner. So it can help give you ideas. It can point out, this is what I use it for because I like to write long drawn on sentences and I tend to repeat myself in my writing a lot. So I'll write my caption, put it into AI and say, where have I repeated myself? And I need to kind of tighten it up. And it'll just point it out. And then I can do it from there and I can reframe it, right? But I'm never asking it to rewrite because it'll change my voice and then the personality is gone. Okay, so now we're going to dive into some of the specific platform changes. Again, just kind of scratching the surface and giving you things that are new and current, what has changed. Every brand is unique and there's truly no one size fits all here, okay? Which is honestly part of why I started my membership, because I was so sick of seeing businesses take generic advice and trying to apply it and they don't get anywhere. So I wanted to create that space where I could give that kind of personal guidance for their specific brand. So I want to give you that caveat before we dive in, because this isn't meant to be, just follow this advice and you'll be fine. It'll help. It'll give you a starting point, yes, but it may not take you all the way, right? Social media marketing is very nuanced and every brand is different. Every brand's audience is a little bit different. So when I work with clients one-on-one, for example, I don't take the same approach for all of them. They each have their own unique strategy and different approach because their audience reacts differently. So I want you to keep that in mind when we talk about these. The platforms, they're a good place to start. So if you're, finding a hard time expanding your reach on LinkedIn or Instagram, or you want to know what's working right now on some of these platforms, this is going to give you the place to start, right? And as I already mentioned, you don't need to be on all of these. I'm not putting these in any particular order of importance or anything like that, or I'm not putting them all in here to say you need to be on all of these. Please don't. I actually argue that it's bad for you to be everywhere. But this is just to kind of help you, for any of you that are out there. I didn't want to miss one if there's a platform that you're on and into. So LinkedIn first up. We've seen a lot of big changes on LinkedIn, and it is increasing in use and popularity, and it is no longer just for employees finding jobs or employers looking for workers. We are now starting to see business owners, CEOs, solopreneurs finding it to be an excellent platform to build authentic connections with their audience, their fellow business owners. You may have heard the word thought leadership content. This is a big kind of buzzword right now, especially on LinkedIn. Having CEOs active on LinkedIn helps build the brand's awareness and helps build the business as well. Again, because it's human to human. Now, instead of this generic brand name, there's a person behind it that people can relate to and have an experience with, right? So this has seen huge growth over the last few years and even in the last year, but LinkedIn does require careful attention and kind of a unique strategy. So it's much more about interacting and conversations than any other platform, because if what you're posting does not spark a conversation, it gets downranked, or LinkedIn, it indicates to LinkedIn, no one cares about this, and so they won't push it out. So it's important to know what your audience wants and how they are going to respond. So I like to describe LinkedIn as like going to a conference, for example, right? You go to a conference, you're in this room with a bunch of other people, that's LinkedIn. When you decide to put a post out, it's like walking up to a small group of people and talking about a specific topic to say, hey, I read this article and this was really interesting. What do you think? And then you ask other people for their opinions, right? And then there's a discussion that happens. So that's like you putting out a post. Don't just post it because it makes you look good or because it makes you sound like an expert, but use it as a way to start a conversation with people on the platform. So that's how I kind of try to describe like posting on LinkedIn. Then the other part of LinkedIn where you are engaging and commenting on other people's things, it's like walking up to an existing group of people and they're already having a conversation and you just jump in with your thoughts because you want to be part of what's happened. You want to be part of the discussion. So that's the best way that I can really explain how LinkedIn works in that way and why those conversations are important. Because, like a conference, if you just go there to attend and you never talk to anyone, you never meet anybody, you're not going to walk away with any kind of good connections. Maybe you'll learn a lot and it might help you like implement things in your business, but you haven't made any connections that will kind of help you grow, right? Whereas if you start a conversation with people, put out a post, or if you enter into conversations other people are having, commenting on other posts, you are now having a lot more success, right? And again, I've said this so much, there's no one size fits all to LinkedIn. It's really important to kind of test different formats. And it really depends on who is in your audience on LinkedIn. Is it colleagues or is it potential customers? Will change what you're going to post and how you're going to talk about it, right? In terms of content and what content kind of works which way, posting polls and carousels, so like multi-image posts, those are the best for reaching new audiences. So if you're trying to reach new people, those would be the formats to go for. And carousels are actually the best for interactions. And then there's the debate between company pages and profiles. So again, this is not an easy cut and dry answer. It really depends on each brand, but I always suggest for a business that has its own kind of standalone brand, have a company page that posts like your company branded kind of content, but then the CEO or your management team should have their own profiles as well, right? Profiles tend to get better engagement and pages tend to get more shares. So personal profiles are better for growth, especially when you're just starting out. And again, LinkedIn is not just about professional content and appearing totally polished anymore. We're starting to see more about starting like conversational posts. Even like pop culture references and memes are becoming really popular on LinkedIn. Again, take the conference experience, right? If you are chatting with a small group of people and someone read something on the news or saw something on TV they thought was entertaining, they bring it up and you all have a laugh about it, right? Same exact experience. Okay, so TikTok, I will kind of breeze over this one because I find it's getting less and less popular. But if you are on TikTok, then you probably weathered through the roller coaster storm that was TikTok ownership last year. But what happened was a lot of influencers that made the platform so popular, a lot of them moved away from it. For those that don't know, there was a lot of confusion and drama around who owns TikTok. And the US wanted to ban it if it did not become a US owned company. So that has all been, for the most part, kind of settled, but the damage was kind of done and a lot of creators left that platform. But it has not died completely. It is still a very popular platform, mainly for a younger demographic. So like the Gen Z, if that is your target audience, that is a good spot for you to be. And smaller brands are actually starting to see more success on there. So if you are a smaller brand and you're trying to kind of break out into that audience, then it could be a really great platform for it. And the way people are using TikTok has changed. It's not just kind of a passive way anymore. Now people are using it like a search engine, like they would Google, right? So that changes how you write and structure your content because now you're writing it for search. So what are the search terms people are using when they're looking for your product or service? And then Instagram, of course. Instagram, Meta in general, just does not play well with others. They don't like sharing people. They are like the kids in the sandbox that just want all of the toys for themselves. It's quite funny. So Instagram, of course, in the wake of all of the TikTok turmoil, they have taken that and tried to become basically the new TikTok. So they're fighting to be that contender. So a lot of platform changes over the last year. A lot of kind of different ways in terms of how it appears. Some people are even seeing when they load Instagram, it's going straight to the Reels feed. So it's all video content now. Again, another reason why video is so important. So they're really kind of moving over to that. They also launched an edits app, which is, again, was meant to go against the editing app called CapCut, if you're familiar with that. Was also owned by TikTok, same company. So they're trying to fight against that, essentially, okay? And then what's really interesting, and we've seen this come in a lot more even just in the past couple weeks, this is a new update. Instagram is actually giving users more control over what they see in their newsfeed, which is super interesting. So now you can actually go in and curate your feed and you can tell the algorithm what you want to see more or less of. So this is great for brands that because it can help us like reach actually the right people, right? So the algorithm's like, oh, this person says they want to know about local restaurants. So they'll feed more of that content to them, right? Super helpful. But where it could end up being challenging is if you have an audience that is not problem aware. So if they're not aware of the problem they have that you can solve, you might find it harder to reach them on Instagram right now. It may not be the platform for you. Now, this is still early days of this kind of change, so this remains to be seen. I'm not saying you need to like abandon Instagram entirely, but if you start seeing a shift in your insights and your metrics, this could be the reason why. So it's just important to kind of keep an eye on that and really, again, understanding your target audience. Are they problem aware? Do they know they have a problem? And are they actively seeking the solution so that they know to tell the algorithm, I want to see these things? This is maybe a little bit more like service-based businesses this applies to, right? The other big change that has happened on Instagram is that likes and follower count do not matter anymore, okay? If you take nothing else from this presentation, if you are using Instagram to grow your business, likes and follower count do not matter. What matters are engagement and shares. Those are the measurements for success. Because for some reason, users no longer like hit the heart button. They no longer like posts as a way of engaging with it. I do not know why, but I am guilty of this. I will sit and watch a 2-minute long reel and never hit the like button. I don't know why. So now they've shifted. Instagram has changed even their insights. If you go into your dashboard, you'll see there's different insights now telling you what are like indicators of success. So keep that in mind as well. Carousels are actually making a bigger impact now as well. So these are the multi-images posts that people can swipe through. They're getting better reach, more impressions, and interactions. So they're definitely a format, if you're not already using it, to look at. And they actually just rolled out last week that you can create a different caption for every slide of your carousel. I haven't decided if I love that yet or not. As a marketer, I'm excited to test out different messaging, but as a business owner, I'm like, you want me to write now multiple captions for my post? No, thanks. So you don't have to do that, but it is an option for you. DMs, so direct messages, are the place where people are getting the best conversions. So when you look at different formats on Instagram, you're going to be looking at Reels are going to be a great way to reach new people. That's going to get you the best reach for an entirely cold audience that does not know you. Same with carousels are going to be good for that as well, but it's also going to help with kind of like nurturing your audience. Single image posts tend to be the less performing of all of them, but still good for nurturing your existing audience. Stories are the best for creating like a kind of community and really resonating with your followers, because your stories only go to your followers and it is a lot less polished content. It's just kind of like you talking to the camera as if you're like chatting with a friend and like sharing your insights or your expertise, right? So stories are the best format for nurturing your audience, building that trust, and where a lot of the conversions are happening, right? So that's something to keep in mind when you start strategizing the different ways that you use your content on Instagram. So Facebook, it's kind of become a little bit quiet because I feel like Facebook has like grown as much as it can in terms of like features and things that it does. We haven't seen any like crazy changes on there, which I'm grateful for because it's very busy. So what we're actually starting to see on Facebook now is kind of like stripping away some of the features to make it more simple. Because if you've noticed lately, there's just a lot. There's groups, there's marketplace, there's pages, there's profiles, there's so many ads. It's everywhere, right? So they're actually trying to like simplify the process a little bit and simplify the experience, which could be really good for us. And then brands actually were reporting a good increase in results last year, which is really great. So Facebook is not dead. It's still a great place to reach your audience and get some good exposure, get people into your space, converting people into customers. And of course, video performance goes way up. Videos are performing really, really well on Facebook right now, like I said. And as I mentioned before, link clicks did go way down. So Facebook's beginning to limit how many times you can put a link in a post. So it's just not worth even doing it anymore if it's going to limit your reach. Okay, so I lumped these three together because they're all very similar. These are all like the Twitter. Okay, RIP Twitter, we all miss it. But X, which used to be Twitter, in case you didn't know. A lot of controversy going on around X because of Elon Musk, of course, and his crazy radical personality. And his AI, which is called Grok, caused a lot of serious damage. So a lot of people left X and are not using it anymore. The people that stayed did see good performance, but nothing that like kind of blew us out of the water. So unless you've had a platform on Twitter for a long time and you have an established, engaged audience there, I'm telling people not to worry about focusing on it. If you're thinking of like adding a new platform, I think X is the place to be. I'd double think that. Really, really depends on who your audience is. But newer people joining it are not really seeing that much success there. So Threads, again, because Meta doesn't like to share their toys. Threads is the Meta kind of combat to X. So it is what we used to know Twitter to be like, essentially. So now it has actually matched the same amount of monthly users as X has. So Threads was a new platform 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I can't remember. So if it's one you've kind of kept an eye on and you are thinking of, you like that kind of like short form content, like just like one sentence, 1 or 2 sentences, Threads is something to think about because it has now matched the number of users, same users as X, and it just keeps growing. So, and brands are reporting good results on Threads as well. Blue Sky, if you have no idea what it is, that's okay. It just kind of like quietly came on the scene. Not a lot of people are paying attention to it. It's meant to be the new Twitter. It shows some promise. Some brands are reporting some good success. Others are reporting none at all, but it's still new. There's less competition on there, so it's kind of hard to tell. I never tell people when a new platform comes out to jump on it right away. I don't really think it's worth it. I always like to wait and see, is this going to have staying power? Because there's no point investing your time and energy into something if it's just going to be a flash in the pan. And Blue Sky does not seem like it's making any good traction. Okay, so last up in the platform changes, these are really not, well, Pinterest is a social media platform, but YouTube and Reddit, I don't consider social media platforms, but they're still relevant because they can still impact your kind of marketing strategy. So YouTube actually surpasses your regular TV for the number of viewers. Okay, so now more people are watching YouTube than they are regular TV, which means it is an excellent place to reach most audiences, right? And it continues to grow and get some really good results. So it's a place where I'm expanding to this year. But again, has its own kind of unique strategy. I don't consider it a social media platform. It's a search engine. People are using it for search. They don't use it the way they would like Instagram or Facebook. Pinterest has really stayed steady. It's kind of been a good steady pace social media platform, but it is predominantly for a female audience between the ages of like 25 to 35. That's their market, right? So if that's your market, it's a place to think about because it's not just about like cute pictures of how to like redesign your living room anymore. Even service-based businesses are seeing some good success on Pinterest as well. So it's not something to forget about. They've definitely stayed true and a lot of people are seeing some good results from there. Reddit, I could do an entire training session just on Reddit because it has kind of like snuck in and made some big waves in the marketing space because AI like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, etc., are gathering a lot of their knowledge base from Reddit. So businesses who are on Reddit, and there's a very unique way to do it, and again, that's why I said you could do an entire webinar on that. Reddit actually has some really good webinars and workshops for free on their, like if you go to like their Reddit for Business like website, just Google it. They have a lot of really great workshops that like teach you how to do Reddit properly as a business. Because if you do it wrong, you basically get banned and it's hard to come back from that. But Reddit, a lot of businesses are seeing great success from Reddit. And again, this goes back to what I said in the beginning, human to human. Reddit is not just about a sales pitch. It's about entering into the conversation, hearing what people are saying about your brand and providing some support or putting in your thoughts, entering into the conversation that people are having around your topic or theme. So this just reinforces this kind of trend that we're seeing to this human to human part of marketing. So bringing all of it together, I know this feels like drinking from a fire hose, but you will have the recording, you'll have the slides, so you'll be able to kind of go through as a reminder as you go through your social media throughout the year. But we covered a lot from like general changes, that affect how we approach marketing, and then some more like specific change, like platform changes. But if I had to drill it down to just two things, I would say forget trying to be everywhere and do everything. It's wasting your time. It's likely wasting your money. It is more effective to be more strategic and focusing on the key places where you get the conversions and create the ecosystem that supports it. So you may not be getting conversions from social media. That's okay. You can still use social media as a place to get an audience into the place where you convert. For example, I work with a client who's service-based. She converts through email. She knows if she can get people on her email list, she can convert them. So her entire social media strategy we put together is all about getting people on her email list. So we're relating to them. We're putting out content that makes them feel seen and heard and understood, and finally someone that's speaking truth over what they're struggling with. And the invite is to join the email list. And that's where she sells. So it releases the pressure to try to sell on social media and feel like it's this constant like spinning wheel that you can't control, and instead puts more control into her. So really looking at where are you getting the conversions, where are you more likely to convert people, and then using social media as the space to do that, right? And social media is very effective in a lot of different ways, especially with search right now. So even though you may not be like doing like keyword, I mean, you definitely need to be doing like SEO as well. Doing social media is not an excuse to just stop focusing on your website, but social media does help with your search results as well. It all works together, right? So it really is important that you are staying consistent with your messaging across all of your platforms, your social media, your website, Reddit, anywhere else that you are active. Your message needs to stay in line with that. So a couple next steps for you, ways that you can kind of move forward here. It's really important to take what we talked about to inform that strategic approach to your social media posts, right? And one that is not going to take up all of your time. But the great part about getting strategic like this is that it helps release the pressure of wasting time on some of those things that aren't working, and you're going to start focusing on things that actually get you results, right? And that's exactly what I do for businesses. So I want you to learn what you take today, create a social media strategy that makes sense for your business and your goals, what your goals are that you're trying to achieve, create that posting plan, and then identify those key metrics and keep an eye on those numbers to inform what you can keep doing or what you can let go of. Because you may start posting, I doubt this is an example, but you may start posting reels and you're not getting any views at all, like you're getting 0. Okay, well then you can stop doing them. That's not going to happen. You're going to get great results with reels, but you see what I mean? Like you want to keep an eye on those metrics and look at those insights to really understand what's working to make it more nuanced for you. So I hope that gives you a starting place. It gives you some things that you can let go of that you don't have to worry about doing anymore, and focuses you on the things that actually will help move you forward. So like I said, when you have that strategy, every post you put out has a purpose, and it plays a role that gets people closer to wanting to buy from you. And that is the power of a strategic social media post, right? Or a strategic social media plan, right? It plays such an important role in your business because people are using social media to search for businesses, to learn what other people are saying, to find out what the experience is like with you before they even set foot in your door or pick up the phone to call you. So it has that power to make up someone's mind, whether or not they want to learn more about you or even buy from you, right? So I know it can feel a bit like what now? And like I said, there's nuances and I don't want to leave you hanging. So we're going to jump into Q&A here in a second, but this was meant to kind of give you the starting point, and then to help you get started with some next steps, I wanted to give you guys an offer. This is my Thunder Bay Chamber member exclusive. So we can do a quick one-on-one. I call them a power hour. It's basically a strategy session where I can give you that personalized guidance. So you can come in with, okay, I learned these things. Now, how do I apply it? How does that change for my specific business? And then we can look at what that strategy looks like that creates those loyal followers for you. So I wanted to give you guys $150 off that strategy session where I can give you that expert guidance, give you that one-on-one focus time, and then give you those next steps so you actually know what that strategy looks like. So you can scan the QR code. I'll also put it in the the chat here. And then we can get into some questions if anyone has any questions and anything that we talked about today. I know it feels like a lot. Any aha moments or things you learned that you maybe didn't know before? Oh, I do see a hand is raised. Elise, yeah, go ahead. If you want to unmute yourself or pop it in the chat.
Yeah, can you hear me really clearly? Like, because I'm not
Yes, I
using the
can.
mic. Okay, I'm using a webcam mic, that's why. Um,
Yeah.
I really appreciate your presentation and it's really helpful. I so agree with you on the thing that people now don't have the habit to engage with the content, like comment, like it. And even I feel that guilty. I watch a lot of content. I appreciate a lot of content. It's like, oh my God, that's a really good idea. No likes from me, no
Yeah,
share
no,
from me
yeah.
at all. Yeah.
I know.
So I know that's not only me, people are doing that because maybe that's the new habits. Just okay, it's good, but just keep going. So
Yep.
the first question I want to ask is like because now we cannot base on the metrics of likes, comments, and share, but just the reach and the views of the content. So what else should I look at when I look at the metrics? So to know what are my customers, what are my viewers are keen on, or like that what they like to see, because that's the only thing I can look at, like how many reach I
Yes.
have. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so it really depends on what your goals are. So I always start with the goals first. If you are trying to reach new people, like you want to just get people at the top of the funnel, you just want awareness and more people to know about you, then you're going to look at reach and views. That's really all it is, right? You're just trying to get in front of more people. If you're trying to take people and convert them or get them engaged or get them like a little bit like closer, right, and further down the funnel, then you're going to look at things like comments or engagement rate or shares, right? And that's when you start getting really specific in your calls to action. So in a post, asking people to comment, but don't just say like leave a comment, like leave a thumbs up in the comments if you agree. It's not like that anymore. It's like, which are you going to try, A or B? You ask a specific question to get people to comment, right? And then if your goal are conversions, then you're going to go really heavy into stories and really work on that kind of like nurturing the audience to try to get people into your DMs so then you can pitch them through there. So it really depends on what your goals are, will change what metrics you're looking at.
All right, thank you for that. And I just have one more questions, like
Mm-hmm.
because I used to work in an environment that's where we can go crazy with the social media, like you said. Like it doesn't have to be authentic. It can have the typo mistakes,
Yeah.
and then it's just like you and your phone with a camera talking and then post. But now I am working in a professional settings. So
Yep.
is there any way that we can balance them? It's like, because I don't want people to just look at the professional setting post and think that this is like AI, because there's no mistake.
Right.
There's nothing
Yes.
to like to prove that this is a human do it, because I am
Right.
not there. I am not in the post. It's just the
Yeah.
graphics on the post. So yep, is there any way to
Yes.
balance the imperfection and the perfections and make the people feel like even though it is in the professional setting, but there's still a human behind that?
Yes. Yeah. I love that question. Thank you for bringing that up. There definitely is. And I'm going to use that conference example again because I feel like it's the most kind of relatable thing. When we think about going to like a business conference or an industry conference, we show up in a different way. We're still personable and relatable. You know, like I said, we'll bring up maybe like, oh, can you believe Taylor Swift is getting married or whatever, right? Like we'll bring up a pop culture thing and we have personality. Maybe we'll crack a joke, but it's tasteful, right? So we change a little bit. So we're professional, but still relatable. You know, maybe in your day-to-day, you swear a lot. Well, you're not going to do that in your professional posts, right? So it's kind of the same in a conference setting. It's not going to be like what people are going to find you on like a Friday night hanging out with your friends. It's not going to be the exact same person versus going to a conference. So you kind of take that same approach with your social media content. Feel free to like be sarcastic or tell a joke in your caption or things like that, but it's tasteful. Like it's something that you know people are going to find funny or relate to, right? And there's a way that you can still bring that in. You're not being distasteful. You're not being rude. You're not like so far into your personality that people don't like, only your closest friends would understand your nuance, right? So it is just a matter of kind of testing out that balance. But a good place to start is like, okay, how would I approach this if I met this person, you know, standing in line at a coffee shop and they knew I worked for this professional organization? How would I approach that? Or if I was at a conference, how would I approach this conversation with this person? What kind of things would I say? So kind of putting yourself in that in-person physical experience and then write it the same way, right? We tend to think we need to write it differently because it's social media and it's virtual, but it's really just trying to capture that same in-person energy that you have.
Thank you for your answer and really actionable insight. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for your questions. We had a question in the chat as well. Can you please comment on paid social? Can low budget paid help boost content that maybe isn't breaking through the algorithm? Yes. Or is your recommendation to focus on improving content itself based on what you presented today? Yes and yes, both things. So I love this question. This is great. And I could do, again, I just did actually a workshop on an introduction to meta ads. So you can do low budget. Okay, I'm going to try to give this a really quick answer. There's a couple different ways that you can do your paid ads. Again, there's awareness, there's engagement, there's traffic, there's leads, right? There's different campaigns that you can do. So without going into all the nuances of those individual things, you can get good results. If there's a post that maybe isn't taking off the way that you want it to, you can run an ad to it. I would say go through Ads Manager. Don't use the boost post button on Instagram or Facebook. You're not going to get great results, but you'll get better results going through Ads Manager. You can just target it a lot better. So yes, you can do that. However, if a piece of content performs well organically, it will perform even better as an ad. So getting really good at honing in on that organic content with everything that we talked about today will only just elevate your ads experience. What about LinkedIn? Same thing. Yeah, same way that way as well. LinkedIn ads are a little tricky. I don't teach LinkedIn ads because I kind of don't want to touch them with a 10-foot pole. There was a lot of drama, I guess I can say, around LinkedIn actually inflating the numbers. So they were telling people they were getting results when they actually weren't. So there's a lot of kind of confusion around there. But if you are interested in LinkedIn ads, then I will put a guy's name, AJ Wilcox. You can find him on LinkedIn. He's kind of the go-to for LinkedIn ads. So if you're looking to kind of get more information on that, he's a good guy to learn from on that specifically. But same rule applies. If a piece of content performs well organically, it will perform even better as an ad. But that's not to say if you have a piece of content and you're like, I really needed people to see this, you can run an ad to it. It's still going to get you better results. I hope that answered your question. And a low budget is totally fine too. Yeah, you're welcome. At least for Meta ads. I can't speak to LinkedIn ads. I don't know what their budgeting thing is like there. All right, I'm just going to flip over to this because I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I know we're at the top of the hour. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions, if you want more details, if you want to talk a little bit more in depth, or maybe I didn't have time to get to your question here, then I'm more than happy to answer your questions. You know, what's that saying? A rising tide lifts all ships, right? So that is how I approach everything in business. So as much as I can help you succeed, help you reach more people, help you get more customers, happy to do that. So wonderful.
Great.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Autumn, for sharing your insights with us and helping us to stay relevant and focused in our social media marketing in 2026. So before we conclude this afternoon, I just want to highlight a couple of opportunities for engagement and connection moving forward. So we've launched officially our 2026 Small Business Solutions Summit. So these monthly webinars, are actually an extension of that summit that we do in October. This year to be held on October 21st at the Superior Inn. And we have some sponsorships, exhibitor booths, and certainly registration tickets are available through our website. On August 11th, we're hosting our 40th annual Chamber Golf Classic at the Whitewater Golf Club. Teams are filling up quickly, and there are a few sponsorship slots available. So if you're interested in that, please reach out. And then lastly, this coming Thursday, our Shift Young Professionals Network is hosting a picnic and putt networking event at Splish Splash Mini Putt in Thunder Bay. There's still some registration room for last minute signups. Yeah, if you need any more information or you'd like to register, feel free to visit our tbchamber.ca/events website. And just want to thank you all for your participation for today and have a great afternoon.